So welcome to the video on permanent growth plots, and what we want to do is show you the forms that you'll be using for your Friday class and for your Monday class when you're out all day in the field actually setting up a real permanent growth plot in your team of 3 or 4. Now, the forms that we will be using are the ones at the bottom of the page. This is an Excel forms, and these are the ones I got from the government. And all the ones we're going to use are the ones that I have made the tabs yellow. So those are all the ones you'll be using along the way. And so we're going to discuss all these. I'm just going to briefly give you an overview of the forms required. We'll be providing you a set of waterproof forms for the Monday, plus practice session forms for Friday. Remember, doing permanent growth plots, I remember when I did them, one thing you must learn and be is meticulous and provide accurate information to the standards required. So this is a very important exercise and challenge too. Anyways, let's move along. So the first thing I want to do is, and by the way, we have shown you all the forms that the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources uses when they do a permanent growth plot, but for the sake of time, we have only included the ones that we feel pertinent for this learning experience, but they certainly, you could indicate you have done a permanent growth plot on any resume based on the skill set you're going to learn. So let's go to the first one that's yellow, and that's the walk-in one. And the walk-in form, as implies here, this form here, what you're doing is you're walking into the site. And the first thing to note is that when you walk into a site, we'll be asking you to give it a code. So for example, this is Peterborough District, PET, and that's what we're in. And it's done in the year 2012. Okay, 2012. And in this example, it is plot 124 permanent growth plot. So that's how the code works. So in your case, it would be PET 2012 001 or 2, depending on what it is. Okay, and make sure you indicate your declination. These are done all across the province. Our declination is, of course, 12 degrees here. Now, the walk-in form, what you're going to do is that you don't need to answer this question right here, because it's not, you're doing it for the first time. And so what we want you to do is follow these directions right here, and I'm not going to belabor this right now, but just please read this on your own, and please indicate the members of your team. We want first initial, last name, okay, and then provide the date. And so for this, I have this set of forms. Excuse me. This set of forms, what we've done is made an example, just showed you how to fill them out, okay? Again, this gives you the idea there. So this is called the walk-in form. The purpose of the form is to get the person into the location where the point is. And by the way, all the permanent growth plots have already aluminum poles in the forest at their exact location, and that's where you folks will be doing your plot. So they've already been pre-set up this summer. The next one is called plot location, and what we want you to do here is to indicate once you get there some information. And first of all, what kind of a plot is it? If it's a PSP, permanent sample plot, it's a huge one. But a permanent growth plot is a little smaller and doable for our efforts. We're going to have a circular one, so please put that, circle that, and indicate the declination. These examples are from all over the province, so that you will see it vary, the crew members and declinations. What you're going to do is location, post number. Again, you'll be assigned posts from 1 to 12 where you have to go to. Please indicate once you get there you're easting and you're northing from your GPS, and I want you to wait a while and let it do some averaging so the accuracy is improved. And this form here, I think that's all you need to fill out, actually. Yeah. So it's very simple form. And then just please make any comments about that you may have noted as you're going in there. So that's all there is to that form. So that's a nice and easy one. Okay. So the next one is stand information form. And by the way, all these codes here, you can look them up in the provided references we've provided for you, and on the online PDF files for the growth manual. The stand information manual form, excuse me, what it's all about is now getting a snapshot of what is this stand look like, and what is its current status. So again, what you're going to be doing is you may make notes like part of the plot has been thinned, and if I have grayed out areas, I said let's not bother these things because you haven't had the training yet, or the education in these areas. For example, harvest methods, genetically improved, and so on. Okay, but you certainly have your crew members maturity class. We want you to look that up in the table. Okay, the canopy structure, what kind of canopy structure is there, and the effective canopy. So you can look those up and in your notes. Okay. I believe that's about it for the form. And yes, and to indicate, try to, in this one here, try to find out the origin of the stand just based on what you see. Is it a fire origin? Is it how was the main canopy formed, and so on. Okay. And then how was the information gleaned? Was it from old records, or was it just from observation? So so far the forms are basically to give you an idea of, we're going from the big picture to the small, finer picture. So now we're going to go from that one there, which was the stand information. We're going to go to the data summary. Now, this form is kind of a funny place for it, but really all this form is about, have you filled in all the required elements that are needed to complete the actual permanent growth plot. Now normally you would have to do all these forms, but the only ones that you have to do are, for our case, is the Walkin Form. Anyways, it's all the ones that are checked off that you have to do. Okay, and I think we have we've excluded a few forms, and we'll talk about that in class because they're not required. But that's all this form really is. It's just to make sure, have you completed all the forms that you need for this project. The next one is the photo form, and what we want you to do is take photos in a very specific way, and but normally you take many photos, but for this case we want you to take only these photos here. We want you to take the plot always from the plot center, facing north at a level, and you take it portrait, not landscape. You take the picture as portrait. So another, okay, and then from the plot center facing east, south, and west, and you take 4 pictures from the post and rotate yourself 90 degrees each time. Then you want to have representative plot anywhere within plot. So in other words, another picture of just anywhere in the plot you want to take it, and then a canopy shot. So in other words, aim the camera up and take a picture of the canopy. Okay, so those are the pictures that we want you to take okay, and when you take some feature photographs, if you take additional photographs, you may want to highlight some things in the photograph, especially if somebody was remeasuring it again. You know, there's a patch of poison ivy, or maybe in this photo you took because you couldn't figure out what were the unidentified beetle boring through maples, and hopefully it was an Asian longhorn beetle. But anyways, so you take additional photos and you can record there, and this is not necessary, but just for your own record, record who took the photo, and so you can go back and find out the answer for some of those questions, or just provide that information. Okay, that's the photo form. So now the next form that we have is the veg form, and the veg form, the vegetation form, is looking at ground plants again. And again, ground plants are very important, and that give a real indicator. And again, you fill this out, the growth plot number. In our case, we would use it's just one, because we're going to do it for the entire permanent growth plot, while in a PSP you'd be doing 3 of these growth plots, so they'd be numbered 1 to 3. Okay, so here basically what you do is you look through here, and the question is, can you identify how many different herbs are there, how many different ferns, and so on, right? And then, so that's for your vegetation. Now, at the same time, let me get this thing working here. Let me click up here. You have to identify shrub species, okay? And so when you're identifying the shrub species here, was there mountain maple? Yes, no, green alder, speckled alder, and so on. And very important is the regen. Remember, regen, it means tree regen. So what did you find for regen? Between 50 to 129 centimeters tall. So in other words, just shy of breast height. Okay, and that's called regen. And saplings are from breast height to a diameter of 2.5 centimeters. Beyond 2.5 centimeters of DBH, they're called a tree. Okay, so these here are the codes, right? And tree species codes, and they can be found at the back of your manual at page, I'm flipping through there right now, at page 61. Okay, on page 61. And so, for example, a code 20 is Abies balsamea, which is balsam fir. And they found 7 of those trees there. And boy, are you going to find a bunch more where you are. All right. So that's the actual vegetation form. The next one is one that we are going to spend a fair bit of time on, since in forestry, and that's this one here. It's called you notice the first one is called the first one here is called boar tree, and that means boreal forest trees. And that means if you're up in the boreal forest, you would use that form. But since we are here, GLSL, Great Lakes St. Lawrence, okay, we use this one. So we use this form, and this is what we're going to go now into here. And this form, what you're going to do in your circular plot, every single tree will be analyzed. And this is the heart of a lot of the permanent growth plots. And so every tree will be numbered. And here we've just taken this is an actual sample plot done by somewhere in the province, and they just gave me this sheet starting at tree number 47. Normally it starts at tree number 1, and there are videos on how to do the tagging of the trees on the site, and how to do proper diameters, and how to do proper azimuths and distance. The videos are available for you guys on YouTube. So handy. So anyways, tree number 47, the tag type, okay? And so what we're going to do is, this was painted on, so this tree, it was painted on, or it is N for nail, okay? So that's usually P or N. And tree species is 1, I'm not sure what that is right now. Tree origin was natural, okay? Tree origin was natural. Let me see here. So tag type, we've done that. We've done the tree species. Tree origin was natural, not when, but how did it start? And most of ours will be natural unless you're in the red pine, right, where it was planted. The distance refers to the distance from the center post that we have put into the ground, that aluminum post, and it's required to be to the nearest 2 decimals. The azimuth this is where your compass has to have the correct declination of 12 degrees. Is where is it positioned in the actual respect to the center post? I mean, well, to north, of course. The tree status, okay, here's a good one. It's living, so that's the tree status. It's living, but notice we also have dead trees. Okay, so chicos are included. Where was the height taken? Not all heights are taken at 1.3 meters, and then that's for abnormal trees. But normally it's at 1.3 meters. What was the diameter taken? This is the super critical thing that we want to make sure, because what is the purpose of a permanent growth plot is to come back in 5 years' time and then measure those trees again and see how much did they grow. And to measure that and to make that accurate, we're measuring in millimeters. So we want to make sure that your measurement is exact. We're going to avoid the quality class because you haven't really been learned much about that yet. Live crown ratio, the LCR. We want you to give an accurate idea of what is the live crown ratio. We want you to do crown class. What is the position of that? Is it intermediate, emergent, which is like a super canopy tree? Is it understory, dead, and so on? So we need that. For heights, we're only wanting you to do 4 heights, and that is 4 heights. We will explain that in the lab. There'll be 4 heights facing north, 4 heights facing east, 4 heights facing west, and then south. Okay? So then we need to do decay class if it is dead, if the tree is dead. So if you look at this tree here, okay, it is dead. So therefore, we would have to invoke these codes here. So only if it's dead do you have to check this out. What is the decay class? How fast is it rotting? How long is it? Just by using ocular is a nice way of saying use your eyeball. Okay, mortality cause, was it wind, insects, disease, whatever? Or does it have just a broken top also? Okay, and then for all trees you have to assess what is the condition of the crown. Is it kind of ratty looking, nice, whatever? And there's some scientific terms of that. Bark, how does the wood look? And you do not have to fill out the last one. That one is not required. Okay, so this is not required here, the very last row. Alright, so it's quite intensive, this one. This is the heart of it, and this is the one that the other group will be remeasuring your work in the afternoon to see how you did. Okay? The next one that you guys are going to be doing is a diameter class. And this is very straightforward, and what you're doing here in this one here is taking the information off of and you do this back in the comfort of your home. You will do this, and you will take for each species of tree, you're going to, for example, this is tree species number 12, okay, which I don't know what that is right now, but tree species number 12, what you're going to, let's pretend it's maple. I think it is actually, but let's pretend it's Acer saccharum. And what you will do is you will count, okay, you will identify all the trees. This is all the different, so this is the tree number. So tree number 3 was let's say Acer saccharum, and its diameter was 2.6, just squeaked in there. Being big enough to be a tree. And then the next tree found in sequence from 1 to whatever, 8 was a 3.8 centimeter tree. So a lot of tiny little trees are here in the understory, probably was a tolerant species. And then 5 to 9.9, you see how it progressively gets larger to larger and larger diameter classes. So you sort out your GLSL tree that you measure, and you put them into all these categories. Okay? And you go, well, what happens after 29? Well, it's just below here. Okay, let me see. There it is. Okay, so there's for the larger trees and so on. And if it's even larger, you can make an additional one to fill in. Okay, and then what you can do, so therefore you'll know how many trees are in each category, and we'll be using that as part of the report. So that you do in the comfort of your own home. This one, DWD, is called down woody debris. You were walking over lots of it last week, and as you know, there's a lot of it out there. It's called hummock and hollow when it gets really rotten, because it becomes part of the infrastructure that many young trees grow on top. So what you're going to be doing here in this one is essentially you're going to make a circle. I mean, if your plot's like this, what you're going to be doing is putting one line straight through and another line this way, and then you're going to measure 10 meters everything down that line, and then 10 meters down that line. So what the result will be, you'll call it line 1. Okay, so the first line would be line 1, and what you found in line 1 you would record here. Okay, so for example here they found 2 things in line 1, and then they had to give it a code, and which is provided in the manual. And what was the tilt angle, the total length, and why all this information? To see how fast things are decomposing and providing nutrients and so on. Then you also have to do a stump count, and all stump counts occur out here. They don't want you, so that's where the stump counts occur. And what do you do in a stump count? Boy, it's simple. All you do is count the number of stumps, and for each different, if you can, for each tree species. Here, it's tree 20, our favorite one, Abies balsamea, and they found 7 trees, dot tally, and then which is recorded here. Okay, so that's what you do for down woody debris. Okay, and then slash piles, by the way, the last part here for slash piles. If you guys are now pros in knowing what that is from camp. And that means if you find a pile of branches all accumulated, that could be because of after an operation, whatever, you would count how many slash piles there are, and you would fill out how fast is it decomposing here. Okay, and you can put, and there's always place for comments. Okay, we're almost done. The next one, it is the last one, that is yellow, is called the soils description form. We've really simplified it. It gets incredibly complex, and rightly so. As you can see, all the other forms that are out there for soils, but we want to stick to the things you know really well, and we want you to do a depth. Okay, whoops, I didn't want to use that one. I want to use my fancy highlighter. So we want you to do the depth. Okay, so from what you're going to do is indicate, this is organic, so it's not as fun, but normally it'd be LFH, and then your A horizon and so on. This is for kind of, it looks like it was for a PD area. Anyways, so but we're going to provide you with a soil probe, like an auger, and you watch the video, and it'll give you instructions on how to use that soil auger so you can measure all this accurately. And then we want you to be able to do soil textures here. Okay. Now keep in mind again that, well, here it's just because they're all organics, but once very fine sand and silt, very fine sand is down here. So use your manual that we from the fall camp to do this. All right. This is all we're expecting, but you must fill in always what this information is called the header information. Information which talks about the date, who did it, location, and the sample types for you guys will be soil auger. Okay, so soil auger goes there. Okay, and you're going to only do one sample. All right, so that's all the forms that you have to fill out for the permanent growth plot. And again, What is the challenge 2 all about? Learning an applicable skill that you can use anywhere in this lovely country of ours, plus learning how to be meticulous as a forest technician. You need to be technical, so we want you to really work at making sure you fill out the forms complete, accurate, and neat. That is really critical. Okay? See you in the class.